right, welcome everybody to the next interview. Today I'm sitting down with Pandora. Pandora is an art consultant, and she has recently transitioned into focusing on art on board yachts. So hi Pandora, thank you for joining me.
Hi there, Chandra. Great to be
here. Okay, so tell me a bit about you before we focus on what you're busy working on now. Tell me a little bit about your history and how you ended up doing what you're doing now.
Yes, well, I am an art historian and an art consultant, as you said, but my first career, so I'm someone that has changed career as well, a couple of times actually, and my first career was in advertising, marketing and PR, so that was always something that was a transferable skill, and I always loved being in the sort of the area of visual arts and graphic arts and design and that sort of thing, but after a while I got a little bit tired of selling tyres and toothpaste and lip gloss, you know, as we do in the advertising world. So I changed to a different type of visual culture, and I was a mature student, and I did a degree in art history at 30 and then a master's in art history about 3 years after that, and from there went into a career in the art world. So that's what I've been doing for the last 20-30 years.
That's really cool. So you found your calling quite late in life, but is that different from what you wanted to do when you were a kid? If you had to think about when you were like a 7-year-old?
Yeah, I always wanted to be in business, so I kind of did follow that career path, but I never went to university. I left school at 16, and I was always kind of out in the bars kind of girl, traveling, you know, like that sort of lifestyle. I think if I'd known about yachts then, I would have probably gone on to one myself, but we did a lot of sailing as well, so I can't call myself an official yachtie, but I have got some pictures of myself with our family boat, small yacht sort of sailing, so it was a great time to grow up. I grew up in the southwest in not far from Salcombe in Exeter on the south coast, so I pretty much did what I wanted to do. But I think one of the things about the art world that really we don't always think about is that I always wanted to be sort of involved in art in some way, but I actually didn't do too well with practicing art at school. And then someone said to me, well, you can do an art history degree, Pandora, and I never really thought of that. So after I realized that and did an art history degree and really, really worked hard at it for 3 years, it was quite a transformation for me.
Okay, that's really awesome. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the times people think that in order to do something that you enjoy doing, you have to do the practical side of it. So it's quite cool that you still get to do the thing that you want to do, even though you're not like a full-blown artist. Okay, so my next question is why and how did you get involved into the yachting aspect side of things?
Well, a lot of my career in the art world was in the commercial world. And I got involved in luxury and selling luxury, and I got involved in a very high-end private client logistics provider called Headleys. And as I was also a Francophile, he really encouraged me to go to Paris in the south of France to start helping to build their art business there, because I developed an art division for them. And I noticed when I was down there, especially at the Monaco Yacht Show 2 or 3 years running, that there were so many training courses for people who work on yachts, and they were doing everything from arranging flowers to arranging the table and all of the things that we know in yachting, and also wine appreciation. When I saw wine appreciation, I thought, why isn't there any art appreciation? And I had known from my other roles down there that there was a lot of art coming on and off the yachts and into villas on the Côte d'Azur. And I thought, that's really strange. So on the plane home from Nice, I wrote a proposal to a training company, and I thought, right, I'm going to push this out to the training companies, and everyone's going to parachute me in to do art appreciation training. And so that was really how it started. And it didn't quite work out like that. But then after that, I met by fluke, or maybe it's serendipity, whatever we call it, I met the most amazing lady called Helen Robertson, who had been a super yacht stewardess and in charge of a very significant art collection. And she was then at the Maritime Museum as a conservator. So she's another really great example of someone that's gone on to a life in art after yachting. And she wrote her master's degree about protection of art in a maritime environment. And so together we set up something called the Art at Sea Symposium. And we ran this great symposium, which was all about obviously how to protect art at sea. And so many things came out of it, really sort of quite significant risks and bad things that had happened. It was obvious sort of transition to do, yes, art appreciation, but also, you know, the care of art and the sort of legal risks that go with that.
So you were saying that, like, as far as legal risks and things are concerned, so what is some of the top danger zones as far as having art on board that stewardesses or the crew need to be aware about? I mean,
well,
be aware of.
Yeah, I could go on for a very long time on that. It's a 2-day course, but yeah, there are sort of a number of ways in which one can categorize those risks. I mean, I talk about very real risks being sort of refits, new art coming on board, new staff, new crew coming on board. I mean, we know there's a lot of rotation of crew, and if it's the same crew coming back, maybe they're familiar with the art, but if it's new crew members, they might not be, so they might not know what they've got around them. Things like maintenance checks and sea trials as well, where hopefully you wouldn't have valuable objects on board, but where they might really be putting the yacht, a new vessel, through a very rigorous program to make sure it's okay. And so there could be quite a lot of damage done. So these are kind of the real risks, and also end of season when things are being taken off the vessel and brought back on. But then we have ongoing risks as a second area, and that's really things like environmental risks. So we're talking about saline air, humidity and light, and how those can affect art on yachts. And then also things like placement, and what we call in art conservation the 10 agents of deterioration, which long list, but it runs into pests and all sorts of things, but also human factor. And the human factor
things that people don't usually think about, you know,
no.
like things that like normal stewardesses never really think about.
No, they don't. And also it's not just a few paintings on the wall, it's decorative arts and very valuable objects. And all cultural goods now are facing, you know, sort of new regulations with coming into the EU for the first time, if they're entering the EU for the first time, and they haven't got EU status. So there are new regulations, and there are quite a few existing regulations around art. So just because you own it, it doesn't mean you can do what you like with it.
Wow, that's so interesting. You never really think about things in that sense. Yeah, that's crazy. I remember reading an article not too long ago of somebody who was arrested because he left. Was it a Picasso that he had on board that he just ran away with?
It was sailing yacht Adix.
Oh, okay. So he purchased the art piece, and then just left the country with it, right? But he wasn't allowed to.
Yes, that is a national treasure law. So that's a different law from the one I've just been speaking about. All countries, or most countries, tend to have national treasure laws, which means they don't want their treasured possessions leaving the nation, really, because it belongs to the nation. And so Picasso was a Spanish artist, although he spent a lot of his life in France, but he's a Spanish artist, and that work should not have left Spanish waters. And Jaime Botin took it onto the super yacht, and then the yacht was arrested in Corsica by the French police on behalf of the Spanish authorities. So that's another thing to be very aware of, the collaboration between the customs officers and the authorities in different countries between each other. But yeah, it's a national treasure law, that one.
Wow, that's insane. And so these are obviously things that you cover in your course. Tell me, what is would you say that the course that you're going through, I mean, you said that it's got a lot to do with new people joining the boat, people that are not aware of it, but if you had to think about somebody that's in the industry now, would you say that this is a course more suited for somebody that's been in the industry for a while, or is it more for people that are just joining the industry? Who would you recommend this course for?
Well, really, a lot of people I speak to in the industry think that it's a great course for senior stews to do because they've done all the other courses and they want to get that competitive advantage to get a job. But a lot of the accidents, sadly, have happened with perhaps junior stews. So we've had things like a crystal sculpture put in a dishwasher to clean it, which has ruined the surface. So many thousands of euros to send it back to the studio. There's a story about one sort of really famous painting where somebody picked off cornflakes on the painting, and they were supposed to be there, so they were trying to do the right thing because they thought it was dirty, but it wasn't. There was another crystal sculpture that was chipped and cracked, so there's quite a lot of really bad things that happened. There was another Andy Warhol piece that was left on the docks because people didn't know what it was. So I think that this could apply to all crew, and especially junior crew, because they're the ones that might be asked to do the cleaning, and you might have something like a gilt frame or the materials that I've mentioned, and they don't understand necessarily, why should they, what the materials are. So it's very, very important, I would say, for all crew. And then, of course, I have the captain's masterclass, which is the sort of very serious legal risks.
Okay. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, that would be good. It's less things to worry about for the senior stewardesses if the junior stewardesses actually know what it is that they're working with. So that makes total sense. So tell me one more question. What is it like being an art person in the yachting industry?
Well, for me, it's been just the best fun, really, really great. I mean, we talk about transitions in our careers, and when you've been doing, sort of been in the art world for a very long time, it's really nice to have a fresh set of faces, to go to different places, to engage with whole new, set of industry professionals at the conferences. And I've really, really enjoyed it, not to mention, of course, being on quite a few vessels and seeing just how beautiful they are. So it has been great for me. And I think it's always good to extend one's own career. It gives you a sort of boost. I found the people to be incredibly friendly, really nice, but professional with it. And I've really, really enjoyed meeting, the stews and the captains and the people that have done my workshops. And they've been really, very intelligent, very focused on what I had to say, asking a lot of really important questions about, insurance and cleaning certain materials and that sort of thing. So for me, I'm just hoping to do a lot more of it after the lockdown.
Yeah, sure. There's so much art out there that needs to be protected and taken care of, and I'm 100% sure you'll be so busy after lockdown.
I think so. Well, there's billions of pounds worth of art on board super yachts, and we all know the big ones, and we all see, when they're sort of being promoted for charter. You just have to look around the interiors and you can see. I mean, I sort of top them up as when I look at some of these pictures. And of course, people come to me, obviously with questions and queries when they have problems with the art on board. So I do see, quite a few, really bad damage, really, that appears, and it's difficult to get it fixed sometimes, because if the vessel is far away, you have to make sure you can get, the piece safe somewhere so it can be conserved. And so it's obviously really, really important to make sure that one is aware of what one's got around one, really good communication and really important training so people are really aware of these risks.
Yeah. All right. And then my last question for you is, so, I mean, you were talking about some other art pieces and how they were damaged and stuff, but It can either be art related or anything related, but tell me one either funny or awkward story that you've heard of somebody on board, or that you've experienced on board, just something out of the ordinary.
Well, I've got a couple of ridiculous, I mean, one really crazy one. I was at the yacht show in Palma and I was at a captain's party, and this captain actually told me that they had a party in the owner's quarters when they weren't there, and that someone popped a champagne cork into a painting. And I just laughed so much about that one, because if I had tried to teach that as a real risk, everyone would say to me, no Pandora, because, you know, crew don't use the owner's area, and no Pandora, because that just wouldn't happen. So it is a crazy one. But in another one, it's a really great story, and it really shows about, you know, ignorance of paintings and why it's so important to learn a little bit and have good communication. Because there was a Christo, Jean-Claude and Christo is a very, very famous artist, and this piece was delivered to a super yacht. And the owner came on board and she said to the captain, "Captain, where's my new artwork? I can't wait to see it in situ." And he said, "Oh, it's over there, Mom." And she said, no, where is it? Where is it? She said, "It's over there, Mom." And what had happened was she absolutely had a fit and said, "Well, where's the wrapping?" He said, "Well, it's down in the engine room, Mum." And what had happened was this was a Christo piece, and Christo and Jean-Claude were the artists that wrapped the Eiffel Tower, and all their art was wrapped in brown paper and string and that sort of thing. So the captain didn't realize, and he unwrapped the paper, but the paper was the artwork. So I think that was, we joke about the CLM, the career limiting move. I'm sure that, you know, she understood, and they were able to get the studio to redo it. But, you know, these are things that you couldn't make up.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like it comes with an instruction manual either. Like, don't unwrap me. Oh, shame. That's terrible. All right. Well, Pandora, thank you so much again for joining me today. It was really interesting learning a little bit more about the art world and what's involved and what you feel is important for people to know on board. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't even know. So thank you once again.
Yep, thank you. And I'm really looking forward to working with you as well in your new venture. So it's going to be very exciting. Thanks, Chandra.
Very exciting. Thank you so much. Until next time. Bye.
Okay, bye.